We've all heard it before. My E30 makes 500 horsepower. My E30 makes 700 horsepower. My E30 makes 1,000 horsepower. We know how great this chassis is, but just how good is it in stock form? In today's episode, we're going to be looking at how great the E30 chassis is in stock form with my 1991 318 IS. All that in today's episode. My name is Ryan. This is Project Racecar. Let's get into it. For all the new viewers out there, this is Greta, and she is my 30-year-old BMW. I just purchased her about 3 months ago, and she looked like this. And now she is looking a tiny bit better, but still in stock form with the stock M42 motor with almost 300,000 miles on it. Original trans, original engine, probably the original clutch, and I don't know how she's still kicking. But today we're going to be doing a review on her. So if you are new here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and please give this video a like. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and I really much appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get to driving this 138 brake horsepower monster. So like I said, almost 300,000 miles, 18,000 miles short. Original engine, original trans. The thing is running still great though. So I figured that I'd make this video because the E30, I have big plans on swapping the motor and I have big plans for not keeping this car stock. So I figured I might as well do a stock review before it is no longer stock. Now, I've had this car for 3 months and I've owned a 325 before this, and that was a really fun, reliable car too. BMW E30s started out as a commuter car, so they made them very, very reliable, and they produced a bunch of them. They did not produce my model all that much. They only made about 5,000 of the 318 ISs, which is the M42 motor. Unfortunately, this car doesn't have any AC because race cars don't need AC, so you might as well chop that out the first chance that you get.
Race cars don't need headlights because the track is always lit.
But so far I have had 0 issues with this car and I love it to death. I love the styling. It is in a little bit of rough condition with hail damage, with the amount of miles on it, and with the actual care that has been taken over this car. It for sure was used as a commuter and has, you know, rib seats and everything that you can expect from a 30-year-old car from the 90s. From my knowledge of the car is on stock suspension besides lowering springs, so it's on stock struts and just lowered a little bit. And it feels great. It rides really nice. It has, it needs a little bit of work. But from looking underneath the E30, everything looks completely stock and very original, which is a little bit scary just because I know parts go bad and again, things need refreshing. So the amount of bushings and the amount of money that I'm going to be spending on bushings is going to be quite ridiculous. But hopefully we can just do a little bit at a time. Stock original motor mounts, and there's a tiny bit of rubbing on the top of the engine because the motor mounts are original, but that's okay. We're going to be swapping the motor anyway. But very little vibration and noise actually come through, especially since this is not a full exhaust. I cut off the muffler and it still makes the motor sound very good, really healthy. You can really feel the car. I swapped out the steering wheel because the stock steering wheel was a little bit bigger and felt more like a boat, so it was a little bit rough. But now with these little bit of mods, I can really start to feel the car and it starts to react how it should. A lot of the rubber tends to break down over time and starts to leave you with a kind of spongy feel. So we will fix that over time, but it is something to note whenever you're buying these old cars, is sometimes everything can be a little bit squishy. This car, I've realized, has a lot of body roll. The car just needs to be tightened up a little bit, and it should be a blast to drive, even in the stock motor form. The engine just pulls very well. The brakes are needing some replacing. They are warped, so when I brake pretty hard, I can feel the steering wheel shake a little bit. So brakes are next on the agenda. As soon as you drive one of these, you can really feel why so many people love them. You can see why they're such a sought-after car and why they're going up in value. It's because they're getting more rare, and they really are a very fun car to drive. Very similar to a Miata, where it's not too fast, not too powerful, but it does have a lot of potential with the driving ability, and it ends up being more of a miles per gallon, and you get a lot for what you're actually paying for. I can see why BMW ended up going with a 4-cylinder that revved really high and was really lightweight, because this is really a fun combination of lightweight, rear-wheel drive, and a manual. Again, you can really feel the car, and it reacts how it should. It's not crazy fast by any means, but it is a lot of fun to drive. You can see with the nice 90s chassis, the doors slam perfectly. Now, we can all appreciate the square body style of the E30 and many cars in this generation. With very little rust and a couple dents, this thing is still looking beautiful. The rims really changed it a lot, and again, with a couple modifications and a little bit of cleaning up, this thing is actually very beautiful. The nice meaty tires in the rear end and my dangling brake line, not brake line, but it's the brake pad sensor. This thing is still doing great. I really do love this car, and again, it's not perfect by any means, and it is very much a 90s car with outdated technology, but I think that that's what makes it quirky enough to be cool and classic. Now, like any car, the E30 for sure still has its flaws. Again, it's not perfect, and if it was perfect, then they would be worth a ton more money. And again, they did produce a lot of these, but like I said, it still does have its flaws, and that's why people modify them to be the perfect driving machine. At one point in time, they were the ultimate driving machine, and they still hold their own in today's standards, I believe. Again, it's the best combo of lightweight, manual, and rear-wheel drive. You can't ask for much more for $5,000, which is what I ended up paying for this car. I got a great thinking that you're going to buy an E30 and go out and win a ton of races in stock form. That's not what these cars are meant to do. They're not meant to go in a straight line. They're meant to go on the back roads and have a lot of fun with. They're meant to track very, very well. And so I don't think that this tired E30 can win a lot of races. But again, that's not what it's meant for. And in 1991, I'm sure that this was a great standard for a car. You know, it was the high-end luxury. It was the light and quick enough to be fun and be the ultimate driving machine. Sponsor me, BMW. I truly do love the BMW and it has been my dream car for years now, and I'm so glad to finally be in one and finally own one. My first one was a convertible, which was just not what I wanted, and this one is just so much better than that. Surprises me to this day that it has 282,000 miles on it, because it still feels like it's running strong. It still feels from the factory. And if you guys take one thing from this video, it's if you can jump on an E30 and find one for something in your price range, do it. You will not regret it. It's an amazing car, and they're only going up in value right now. It's something that is turning into a classic and more rare. I plan to make the E30 into a perfect street car, and I think that she'll be able to handle all the modifications. There's so many people standing behind the E30 platform already that it's easy to find aftermarket support. It's easy to find any sort of DIY that you're looking for. It's easy to find builds, and it's gone through all the test and trial runs. What I'm basically here to tell you is that the E30 is everything that everybody cracks it up to be. It's everything that you want in a car. It's everything that you deserve in a car, and then some. Greta, the E30, is truly what I've dreamed about in a project car forever. It's what I've always wanted to build, and something that I know that I'm very passionate about, and that I can see the whole build through. I think a lot of the times people just aren't passionate, or they lose passion throughout the build, and Greta is not one of them, because she's starting at such a good level to where I can see the potential and the progress that every modification makes. I'm telling you guys now, if you ever have a chance to drive an E30, always take them up on that offer. These cars are a blast to drive. Their styling is timeless, and it's just an amazing car. Even after 30 years, you can see why this car put BMW on the map and made them such a giant that they are today, because these cars are just fantastic. But that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the driving. I hope you enjoyed me talking about Greta, and I hope that you get the chance to drive an E30 or purchase one of your own. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, give this video a like, because it does help me out. And until next time, my name is Ryan. This is Project Racecar. Have an amazing day. Peace.